Hey everybody, Canadian Operator here, and this is my Ruger 1022. Now you've probably already seen me do a video review on this, and if you haven't, make sure to click up here to go check it out. But today we're not talking about the gun, we're talking about the stock. This is the ProMag Archangel Precision stock for your Ruger 1022. This one's an OD green, so let's talk about it right after we clear the gun and make sure everything is nice and safe. We've got a BX mag in here, which is actually going to be pinned because in Canada that is what it needs to be in order to comply with our laws, which doesn't actually make sense, but that's for another video. And let's just go ahead and make sure we've got the breech open here and everything is good to go. Before we continue, any direction that I'm going to be pointing the firearm today is going to be a safe direction as I'm the only person in the room. And with that little disclaimer out of the way, let's go ahead and get started with this. Now, this is a really fun setup, everybody. Whether you are hunting, whether you are a bench rest shooter, or anything in between, I honestly think this is a lot of fun, but there are some caveats which we're going to go over. So let's get into the details on the stock, and then we'll talk about whether I think this is worth your money. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the front of the stock. As you can probably see, I do have a little Harris bipod here. This is the S series, and this is the 6 to 9 inch. It is a pick rail bipod, which fits very conveniently on the pick rail on the very front of this thing, as you can see right there. There is a lot of space on here on this pick rail, but one thing that you might not be able to see is just under here, and you might be able to catch a glimpse of that. Maybe if I put it like this or like that. There we go. You might be able to see. So there's like a little segment right under here that's kind of solid, and then there's a little bit more pick rail forward of that, which is where this actually sits. And my problem with this is that while it is nice to have a nice pick rail up here, which does come with a handguard, by the way, if you choose not to use the pick rail, I just don't have that with me right now. It's in storage, as I am using the rail. But in any case, I just don't understand why Archangel decided to just put like a little break there. So it's like pick rail, pick rail, pick rail, just a block of plastic, and then pick rail, like a little itty bitty pick rail, which is what the bipod is sitting on right now. And for me, I just really don't understand why they would do that. And I'd like to hear from you if you had the same experience trying to mount different things. I know that a buddy of mine, when we went to the range, he was really excited about this because we actually bought this. I bought this with my own money. He bought it with his. And we were very excited. We both have Ruger 1022s, and we were like, this is great. We're going to put bipods on these things. We're going to have some nice shooting competitions going on at the bench rest. It's going to be a great time. Well, one thing that he decided to do is because he didn't have access to the Harris, as I did, he had access to a Caldwell, which was one of their higher-end lines of products that they produce. But in any case, his was a swivel stud mount, and mine was a pick rail mount. So mine just natively fits on the stock. His did not. And the problem with that is that, of course, he needed to get himself an adapter, and the adapter was a little bit larger than this. Like it's got just like two little recoil bolts in there that fit into the slots on the pick rail. His, I think, had 3. Right? So there's no way that he could have actually put that on the front, so he had to put it on the back. He had to put it basically right here in these first 3, 1, 2, 3. So his bipod is actually coming up from here instead of all the way from up here where mine is. And so his hand is basically like here when he's, carrying the firearm with 2 hands. And, for him, that's kind of uncomfortable, and it would be even more so uncomfortable for me because I have these big-ass meaty hands. And that's the one big pet peeve that I have is this kind of design choice. It kind of bothers me a little bit. So if you're watching Archangel, which I don't think you are, but if you somehow watch this video, then please, for a Gen 2 version of this, just make a whole pick rail there without any breaks. And I have a feeling I know why they did it too, because there happens to be like a little hole in that little plastic spot where you can put one of their included swivel studs. But again, maybe that's not something that you want to do, right? And being able to have an entire pick rail is probably better, because then if you want an adapter, you can put one on. But if you don't, then you have all that space that you can use. So anyway, that's enough crying for me. That's just one thing. It's honestly the one thing that I dislike about this entire stock. Everything else, I think, is fairly well thought out. So moving a little bit further down, we have a pretty nice big magwell. Now, of course, this is going to be a little bit chunkier than your standard stock from whether you have a carbine, whether you have a synthetic stock, a wooden stock, whatever. This one's going to feel a little chunky because that magwell is going to kind of protrude a little bit further down. It's not going to be as flush mounting as with a regular stock. But what's nice is Archangel does actually include, I'm not sure if you're able to see this right here, right? So that is actually an extended release for your magazine. So if we put, once again, our empty magazine inside, right? It's in there now. And then so if you didn't have this, I'm not sure if you're able to pick up on this really well here, but if we didn't have this, if it was just a regular one, we'd really have to wedge our thumb in there and kind of push it. But because we have this nice one that was included with the package, it just makes getting rid of the mags a lot easier. And so I would definitely recommend that you put that in when you get yours, if you decide to do that. Now, I don't have a video on that yet, but if you'd like to see it, let me know in the comments below, and maybe we'll do an install video and show you how that's done. Right, so moving a little further down, as you can see there, I do have the BX trigger again. That's going to be another video altogether, but for a little bit of a preview, it is really nice, guys. Honestly, it feels great. Let's just go ahead and hit the bolt release there, and we're completely empty, pointing in a safe direction, and that's just, it's super light, right? It's really nice. We'll leave that bolt open again. There we go. Very, very nice light trigger. Okay, moving on to actually what we're talking about in the video here. We have a really nice pistol grip here. This is actually an oversized, like over-molded grip. Or really not, sorry, not over-molded. I mean, it is, I think it's molded in the sense that how it was created, but there's no rubber overmold or anything like that on this thing, which would have been nice maybe at a slightly higher price point if they had like a premium model of this. Then having like a nice rubber piece on here, like an overmold, would definitely be nice. That being said, though, this feels really good. Like, it feels nice. It does have some kind of like bubble here in the middle that helps to fill out the inside of your palm real well, so you get a real good grip on this. And for someone, again, who has really large hands, like, this feels really nice to me. And like, if I'm going like this, right, you can see there's still a little bit of space down here, which is just nice. You know, it's nice to have something my size that doesn't feel like a toy, especially in a Ruger 1022 platform. All right, now I'm not gonna be able to open this for you guys because I don't have any nails, so I usually have to use like a tool or something to open this. Most normal people will be able to open this no problem. So there's a little door here, there's a little latch. You guys can probably hear that. I just don't have any nails, so I can't get any nails underneath that to pop that open, but that just swings open just like this. And you got a little bit of space in there, so you can just put whatever you want. You can put, you know, some extra ammunition if that's what you want. You can put some cleaning supplies, a brush, maybe a really small boar snake could fit in there, potentially some oil, whatever you want, you know, like whatever creams your Twinkie, you can go ahead and stuff it in there and then slap that thing shut, and then you're good to go just in case the zombie apocalypse comes. Now, moving a little bit further to the stock, I gotta say, guys, the stock here feels really nice. Now, for me, I'm mostly a bench rest shooter, and so this just feels super comfy, right? I can just get right in there. I mean, of course, it would help if I just opened up the caps on my scope and lifted my hat a little bit, but I mean, like, this is just nice. Like, that just feels normal, you know? It feels comfortable, and it feels like you've got a lot of support here. Now, this is polymer. It's gonna be just the same pretty much as the rest of the stock, but it does feel nice and smooth. There's no rough edges. Everything is nicely sanded, and it is completely adjustable. So if I can put this over here for a second so you guys can get a better look. Maybe we'll put this here. There we go. Okay, so this is completely adjustable, and you've got a wheel down here, and you can just click this left or right. Now, if it looks like I'm struggling a little bit, I kind of am, and it's because I think this is just designed like this on purpose. It is very stiff, especially in the beginning. It's very, very stiff, but that is how you know you're not going to have this thing moving around on you when you're shooting, and that is really, really important because you don't want to lose that elevation once you are, you know, scoped in and you're good to go. You know how high you need to be. You kind of get that muscle memory of where you put your cheek to get lined up right down the middle of the scope. Then this is going to be great. It's not going to move on you, and it just feels nice, and it's fairly comfortable. Again, I think if ProMag or Archangel was coming out with a pro model of this, they could even put like a little, maybe like a faux leather on here or something, just as an extra touch, or potentially like a little thin piece of overmolded rubber on here, again, just for a little bit of that extra grip. Honestly, guys, I think you kind of missed the train on that one with respect to making like a pro version of this. Now, I know that this is already a fairly pricey item for most people. Like I said before, you know, we're not going to be talking about the price here, fellas, but we're looking at, you know, on the high end, it's approaching the halfway mark of what it would cost you to get a 1022. And I'm talking about like a stainless carbine with a synthetic stock like mine. Okay, so, but, you know, there are people out there that want to spend more money, and for those people, having sort of a higher end model of this, I think would be nice, and possibly I would have sprung for that if it was available. So, just an idea. Now, a little bit further down, let me actually bring this bipod up for a second here so that it's kind of out of the way. So, moving a little bit further down here on the stock, we can see that we have another wheel right here in the back. and then this is what's going to adjust your length of pull, which is going to be about another 2 inches or so out. So that's actually pretty great. Again, I'm a bigger guy, right? So for me to be able to take this and shoulder it up and actually, you know, just have a really good sight picture down the scope and just feel like this is nice and comfortable. It's dug into my shoulder and I've got a, you know, I've got a good contact on the rifle. That makes me feel really confident about shooting at targets, especially ones a little bit further away. Now on the back here, we do also have a nice rubber butt pad. It's not the thickest, but then again, you know, you don't have to manage recoil that much on a 22, if at all, right? So that is definitely not a big deal. However, it doesn't feel like it's replaceable. In fact, if I just double check, yeah, it looks like it's just kind of glued on there. So you're probably not going to be able to adjust the length of pull anymore or the comfort anymore unless you kind of rip that off and maybe you glue your own one on that you found somewhere, or you 3D printed one or something. I don't know. But honestly, as it comes out of the factory, I think it feels pretty nice. Again, the price can be a little expensive. So getting into my final thoughts about, you know, whether I think this is worth it for you, it really depends. You know, like, how much do you shoot with your 10-22? If it's something that you take out, you know, you do a little varmint hunting, a little small game hunting, on the, you know, odd occasion, you take it out to the range or something once in a while, then to be honest, you know, I think a little sandbag and the stock, for lack of better words, is just going to be fine for you. It'll probably save you a bunch of money. But if you're looking to kind of pimp out your 10-22 and have sort of a tactical looking 10-22 that does see some improvement in accuracy from using this stock, especially free floating the barrel has worked for me really well, then honestly, I definitely would recommend it. However, again, there's a caveat to that. I would recommend that you wait for a sale, because on a sale, then you're paying a lot less. You're paying like up to 30, 40, sometimes even 50% less than what the sticker price usually is on this thing. And again, that sticker price on the high end can be approaching, you know, about 50% the cost of the actual rifle itself. So do with that information as you will. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.